Hey everyone, I hope you had a good week. Welcome back to the Songwriting Series. Last week, we covered the fundamentals of songwriting. What it is, how it works, the 3 core elements of a song, and why we write songs. This week, I wanted to focus on writing songs using beats and instrumentals we can find on the internet. I think this is a great way to get into creating songs, and you really don't need a lot to do it. For this video, you're not going to need any musical instruments, you won't need a garage band. All you need is internet access and a smartphone. Don't worry if you're not the most tech savvy, I got you covered. Alright, let's get into it. In hip-hop music or popular music, writing songs using instrumentals or beats has become a common practice. Oftentimes, a producer will create a beat which we can think of as a musical idea with a groove behind it, and then they'll send it to someone else who writes the lyrics and the melody for the song. Artists have been borrowing ideas from their predecessors for centuries. When we take something that's already been made and put something on top of that, we're able to create a fresh and new take on an older sound. We're able to make that our own and make that resonant to us. So I think this is a great way to get into songwriting. If you remember back to last week, this makes sense because when we think of the 3 elements of the song, the beat maker would make the chord, groove, accompaniment part of the song. And then the other part of the song is a writer who makes the melody and the lyrics. And that'll be your job. Starting with a beat or an instrumental is a great way to write because we are starting with the inspiration we find in the world and building a song from that place. As I mentioned before, it's important to find a song seed that inspires us with a feeling or emotion when we sit down to write. We need something that is going to give us the motivation. A beat that we vibe with from the get-go will do exactly that and help provide us a song seed that we can grow into our own song. We can start this process by exploring sounds we know, we love, and checking in with ourselves about how they make us feel. YouTube is a great resource to find instrumentals to work with. All you'll need for this is to go to YouTube and start exploring different songs and sounds that you like. Start typing in a style of music you really like into the search bar, and then add the words beat or instrumental behind it. So if I was a big reggae fan, I would type in reggae beat or instrumental. And it really helps in this to be as specific as possible when exploring these different beats. So if we want to get more specific than just a broad genre, we could search an artist or a song that we really like and see if there's an instrumental or beat. Odds are there usually is. If we're going broad, I could just type in hip-hop beat into YouTube and I'll get hundreds of videos in different styles, when it could take hours to find something that I really like. So instead of getting too broad, let's get as specific as we can for the purpose of this exercise. And remember, don't settle for something you aren't really into when it comes to finding instrumentals that we can turn into songs. The more a beat makes you feel something, the more inspiration it's going to give you when it comes time to write the song. So as I mentioned before, you'll need a smartphone for this. We're going to want to be utilizing the voice memo feature that you can find on the first page of an iPhone, and I believe for Androids there should be a similar equivalent. This is a very simple recording tool that we're going to use to get down our ideas when they come up as we're exploring songs and sounds. I really like the quality of voice memos. I think it's great for songwriters, and songwriters across the world use voice memos all the time to get their ideas down quickly so they don't forget. When inspiration strikes, it's really helpful to have something in your pocket that you can immediately record into and hold on to that idea for later. So take your time exploring instrumentals and beats on YouTube and try to find a few that you really like, that you think, I could work with this more. And even underneath that, oh, I just really like this and this is making me feel some things. Once you find something that really catches your ear, you'll want to copy and paste the web address of that into this web address right here. What that is it's a YouTube to MP3 converter. And what we're going to do is we're going to convert this song from YouTube into an MP3 that we can download to our desktop. That way we can listen to it whenever we want. It's totally free, and we'll have a little bit more freedom around it. You won't need to go to YouTube every time you want to work with this. So it helps to be organized and maybe make a folder on your desktop of these beats and instrumentals. And I would say having a few to pick between is going to be really helpful with however you're feeling in that moment when you sit down to write a song. You'll be able to pick and choose where you want to go. So with a beat we find, we're going to take the URL from YouTube, we're going to paste that into the YouTube MP3 converter, and then we're going to very simply download that to our desktop. There we have the beat and we're ready to work with it. Now that we have a beat or a few to choose from in our folder on our desktop, here's the fun part. So at this point, we're really going to want to get familiar with this beat that we've chosen. Listen to it a few times, jot down some thoughts or feelings that the music gives you as you listen. As those thoughts pass into your head, just feel free to write them down. And it's really important that we are not judging any of the things that we write. This is just a time to see what comes up for you and write those things down. And we're going to be starting to develop an idea in a word bank this way. So if I'm listening to a cool hip-hop song and the beat's really rocking and I feel like I'm in a nice fancy car on a street, and this image is in my head and I'm just feeling in that confidence, I'm going to want to write those things down, and I'm going to want to be as specific as possible once again. So the more specific we are to what we're feeling, the more we're going to know what we want to write about. These notes that we're writing are going to come in handy later once we get into writing lyrics. Make sure to take your time with each of these steps. We want to be sure that we're not rushing the process. We want it to be at a comfortable pace, and we want to really be in our creative flow with this, which means we're not trying to force anything here. We're not trying to manufacture something that isn't true to ourselves. These words and phrases that we're writing down, let's keep them as simple as possible. Specific but simple. That way, it'll be easy to pull from them later. We want to keep them simple enough that we're giving ourselves options. When we start to write these things down as they come into our head, and we're not judging the things we write, what we're really doing is accessing a piece of our truth that lies deep inside of ourselves. And we're just noticing the things that we feel as we're working on this. That's a really key part of finding your creative voice. We don't want to inhibit that voice. We just want to let what needs to come out from the music. So I recommend not crossing anything out, just in case you need more ideas to pull from later. It's always a good idea to have more options than less. Once you've done this for a period of time and you have a solid list of things, whether that may be just 5 things you've written down or 10 or 20, but once you feel like you've really done a full job with this step, you may have a clear idea of what you want to write about, but you may not, and that's okay too. That's part of the fun and part of the mystery. If you know what you want to write about, you can focus your ideas in that vein, but if you don't, that'll come in time. As long as the music makes you feel something, you're on track. We don't need to know what we're going to write about before we write. All we need is an idea about how we are feeling while the music plays. This makes more sense as we go, but trust me on this one. So now that we have some words in our head that are out on a page, scattered on the page, whatever it may be, it's time to bring our voice into this. Now, with the beat on repeat, try singing along or humming to the beat and have some fun seeing what comes out. This isn't a performance, just a time to explore the music with your voice in the mix. See where it feels comfortable to your voice to sit in the music or on top of it. For rappers, feel your flow on the beat. Even if you don't have words to rap, feel what part of your personality you want to focus on. And test out how you might approach rapping on the beat. Fast or slow, low or high, aggressive or laid back. What part of your personality do you want to bring to this music? just find a comfortable place for you to add something to the music. It's really all about that, growing comfortable with the music and being a part of it. Try to figure out what's your style when you hear this beat. And while you're doing that, you might find that you have a catchy idea or a hook that pops out when you're expressing yourself, and it gets stuck in your head a little bit. Maybe there's a phrase that you feel like repeating over and over when you're on this beat, something that catches your ear. That's a good time to bring a voice memo into play. That's an idea you don't want to forget. Whether you're going to use it or not for the song, it's good to hold on to that idea and trust yourself. If that's the first thing that comes out of your mouth, then there's a reason for that. And you're going to want to go with your gut with this kind of thing. Remember, there's no right or wrong answers, but I can tell you that usually on the first, second, or third time you do this, you're going to get the most organic expression from yourself. You're going to be the happiest with that. You're going to be the least judgmental. And for musicians alike, that's why they always try to get things on the first or second take when they record, because that's when we're most natural and the repetition does not dull our expression. So when you're doing this process, don't overthink it. It's important not to think too much while you're exploring how the song feels and getting inside of the music. If we get wrapped up in our minds about the story we want to say, too judgmental, that can prevent us from feeling the music in our hearts and souls. Our inspiration is tied to our feeling, and that's the crucial part we want to hold on to from start to finish. Just let the ideas flow. So that's it for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, I showed you guys how to get started with an instrumental beat that we can turn into a full-on song, and how to begin exploring ideas that will lead us towards what we want to say and how we want to say it. This is a big step. Next week, we'll be focusing totally on lyric writing, in a bunch of ways we can make that happen, how we can develop that skill of lyric writing, and how we can write the lyrics we want to write. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos as much as I am showing you these. I'll see you soon.
I never wanna lose your love. I never wanna let you down.